June 19, 2019 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to open public comment. Anybody else for public comment? Raise your hand, be recognized, state your name.
Ron Wolf, 333 North Troy Street. Thank you, Mr. Dunstan. You know, I have to commend you guys coming down here and banging your head against the wall. I mean, time after time after time, you put in a lot of work. Unfortunately, you got to learn to not follow the leader and think out of the box. What's good for your business? I happen to notice this parking idea for the structure was went over like a lead balloon. The parking ticket people loved it. They were writing tickets on the street because people were confused. They weren't sure of the day. They weren't, you know, they didn't read the fine print up 6 stories high. And I begged you guys to consider not wasting that money on this, but trying to set up something like Birmingham has. And I told you, Birmingham has a DDA that knows that that needs to attract people, and it does it with 2-hour free parking to midnight. Now, there are ways to get around the bonding issue. All I know is that I have seen business way down in Royal Oak. Starbucks has not even begun its summer hours, and they may never begin summer hours. And I consider them the barometer of business in Royal Oak. I spend a lot of time downtown, unlike most of you who have to make a living for your families. And I see what's going on, and I don't see a lot of anything going on lately. Some of it is due to the weather, yes, but I think most of it is due to confusion and a lack of direction. I happen to notice that in Birmingham, there are chairs out in front of businesses that do not serve liquor, that do not have railings. I would love to see Royal Oak have a European-style street life. Forget the fear of the homeless. Put out the benches like you used to. I'm a senior. Sometimes when I'm walking 2 or 3 blocks, I feel I have to sit down. There are families with children. Sometimes they have to sit down, take out the baby bottle, you know, check the diaper, whatever. You go to other cities, Novi, Clinton, Township, everywhere, you see benches outside. As I said, if it's not an alcohol establishment, just charge them a $2, $4 fee to put out a chair or a table, just a couple of them. Give the city a walkable feeling. And I'm not asking you to spend a lot of money doing this. It doesn't cost a lot of money. You got benches over at the farmers market that are just sitting there. Put them back out on Main Street. Paint them. Do something. And you're right about the buskers. I think you should encourage the buskers to come. I think possibly that Row Alley might be something, you know, like a music alley eventually. Why do you think I'm crying about that I want a central downtown park? That I would like to see the library built out and expanded into a community center like Clinton Township has. Royal Oak has the chance to be the jewel of the community, and I am so upset. I don't know whether you guys had any say in it, but I see this new city hall as a ponderosa, taking up so much space because it's only 2 stories. When I presented once a drawing to you of a 4-story city hall and a small parking structure that also served as a sign welcoming people to the farmers market. That's pretty much all I have to say. Open your minds. Don't follow the leader, please. Okay? And, you know, politics aside, your businesses are at stake. Your livelihoods are at stake. I don't see the new people coming from Etkin all over Royal Oak like promised. And this hospital, this instead of a Class A office structure attracting major professionals and corporations, you have a C+ outpatient clinic from Henry Ford. Oh boy, too late, it's coming. But there's still a lot that can be saved if you pay attention to the details, because the devil is in the details. And you do not have to spend a lot of money. Get the streets light fixed, get the crossroads fixed, put more of a police presence downtown. These rocket bikes are
Wolf, wrap
driving
it up.
everybody insane. I know, okay, I'm finished.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You're
You have a
welcome.
great
Thank
day.
you. Thank you for your time. Your hand up.
Hi, my name is Alan Ashley. I am the newly elected president of Royal Oak Manor. I'll take office officially in July 1st. I'm here to let you know that I no longer speak for just 30 people for parking. I speak now for 245 people. I know that we are having this carnival going on, and it has caused some problem for us. The biggest problem we have is we've noticed an uptake in traffic on 7th, Williams, and 6th. I don't know if it's the summer, but we have had increasing potholes. We did have a call in. Someone called this morning, and the DPS came out and filled a little over 30 potholes on 7th. I know you have this parking, this pavement plan in there. I was just hoping that maybe if you could tell me, send me an email of when Williams or 6th Street or 7th Street will be repaved, because it is getting worse as the days go on because of the heavy rains and now the heavy traffic being used on 7th and 6th. Again, thank you for your time. That's all I have. Thank you.
In the back there.
Hi there. This is kind of odd. I swear I don't know that guy. Hey, Mike, what's going on? I don't know that guy, but it's really funny because I live on 7th. I sent an email.
What, can I have your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew Hopkins.
Andrew Hopkins,
Drew
okay.
Hopkins, and I live right at 7th, and we're 7th and Williams. So for years, really now, we've had a really bad problem with our street, and that would be specifically, I can't speak for east of Troy, but west of Troy to Maine, 7th Street is a chronic mess. And in fact, I'd actually almost suggest it's a danger. People cross the side, people don't just walk on the sidewalks to go into town, they cross the street to go into town. And I actually wasn't paying attention, walking my dog crossing the street a couple of weeks ago, which is what made me really come to grips with this. I stepped in one of the big ones. I do have pictures on my phone. I sent them to the city engineer. They directed me to come here. They said it wasn't their deal, but they were going to send someone out, as this gentleman just said, and fill it in as they do every 6 months or whatever, and it doesn't last. And they did that today. But I stepped in it, it hurt, twist my ankle a little bit. It's really a problem. It's not just something that, that doesn't need specific attention to. I'm sure a lot of people come in here and they have specific things they need you to pay attention to. That street is horrible. And I'm talking this deep in some places. It's a danger. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mark Ryan. I'm property owner on 309 South Troy Street, the Namaste Yoga facility, our old building my grandfather built in 1940. Here to talk about the streetscape today. That block that we have between 3rd and 4th isn't done. I know over the wintertime they took out a tree out in front in the easement area. I'm just trying to find out where we are. I see that we're on a potential area to be done. We're like one little block that's been hanging there open for a number of years, and everything around it has been developed on the streetscape. And I just want to try and get a little priority in there just to finish off that whole section. We've done across the street in the Tribune, in front of the Tribune building, and we're down 4th Street. I see 3rd Street being done. It's just one little block, and I just like to end up seeing what we can end up doing to finish this one off in that area there. It would complete a whole area, a big area, and we're just that one little block left.
Okay.
You're specifically talking about Troy between 3rd and 4th?
On the east side of
On
Troy.
the east side of the
Yep,
street.
there's the parking lot there, the old Tribune parking lot, and then there's our building, and then there's the automotive facility there.
Got it, thank you.
And just that little section there, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
George Gomez, I don't know if you need an address at all, but I really want to say thank you. A few of you have taken my emails and some of the conversation we've had about the streetlights in downtown. Specifically, I've sounded out a little bit between the city as well as some of you about 4th Street. You know, when you have 11 lights that have been out for months on end, and I hear they're just starting to kind of have meetings with the engineering to see if a long-term solution, because it's an underground problem. I think what I want to raise to your attention is there's got to be a temporary solution. Maybe there needs to be some wires ran between the lights until the underground cabling can be, you know, dug back up and done properly. And then when you also notice some things on 6th Street in the same way, and the excuse is, well, it's underground work. Yes, but it's an underground work that's been around for months and probably going into last fall. There's a point where some urgency has to be given to safety and concern. And it also looks like the street is almost closed in some spots on 4th. So when you think about it, I think that you folks deserve a little bit more attention, and I think we deserve a little bit more safety when we're trying to visit you downtown. So I just was hoping that in some of these meetings that they're now having, that I'm keenly aware of, that they also look for a temporary, quicker solution to just do the fix until they can dig up the underground. I hope for you that works out well. Thank you.
Hey, George, we're in 6th Street.
So 6th Street, where I've noticed it, and this is more of a passing discussion, is that some of the electrical outlets don't work, so you can't really put the Christmas lighting up there and stuff. And it's just like a simple example that started my attention to what's going on. And then I recognized how long it's been that way and how many people are already keenly aware that some of this underground services that have been put out there over the years, and I really don't think that works, 20 years old, by the way, that it's failing. And whatever the reason it is, it's underground and it's complicated. But some point, we can build a parking structure in 9 months or better. How come we can't fix underground cabling? I mean, I did it as an industry. I know it's doable. I know it can be expensive. But in all due fairness to all of us, it really should be done. It shouldn't be on the back burner. It shouldn't have to be raised over and over. And so I just think for all of us. So 6th Street to me is more so the fact that you can't put really the same lighting over there during the holidays. I think that's what came to my attention originally, even before the change of owners. And now all of a sudden you have 4th Street, 11 lights out on 4th Street. If it wasn't for some of the businesses, you'd actually think it was closed. So in all due fairness to you, this is it's just wrong.
Chairman, may I ask a question? Sure. George, I know your history and
Sure, thank you.
what you've been involved with, and
Appreciate it.
at one time, when I owned some property in WROK, there was an issue with the alleys,
Yes.
the lighting in the alleys. And I think at that time I was informed that some of the responsibility might be Edison's.
Sure.
Is that?
In fairness to you, I'm glad to say we actually have a specific department that deals with anything that's Edison-related overhead lighting. I don't know of any scenario in which we are allowed to ignore. So if we have a light that's out and you report it, we have to respond to it. So if there's some longer-term design plan that has to be resolved, I'd be glad to work with you in connecting you with the right people. But
I
I'm not
appreciate
aware of
that.
anything of that type, to be honest with you, because we are required to respond.
I appreciate that. Is it fair to say, and I don't want to be unfair, is
No,
it fair to
no,
say
please.
that Edison has some responsibility for lighting in the alleys?
I don't know that for a fact, because in all due fairness to you guys, the city relationship in lighting is a special arrangement, and some of it you guys own, or the city owns, I should say, and some we do. And I really don't have knowledge of which
Okay,
one it
and that-
is.
that's fair.
But in all due fairness, it's not hard to find out. So if you have a specific area in mind or you're concerned about, feel free to share with me, and I'll connect you with the right people that can talk to you more personally about it. But I've always been puzzled myself, like there's a light out at the northeast corner of Washington and 4th as well. So I went to DPS and I asked, is that an Edison light or is that yours? Because I'm really not that sure.
Right.
Now, ours are normally labeled, with a series of numbers so I can identify them quickly. So when it's not that way, then I start to ask myself, maybe it's private lighting and it's not Edison. If it's Edison, I'll gladly pursue it for you, but I kind of left it up to the people who were very knowledgeable about it already and seem to be aware. And for the fact that it's not been reported, if you're having any difficulty in follow-up, then we have a responsibility. We have to do it. It's
Okay.
not a matter of discussion for us.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Happy birthday.
That was last week. Laura Harrison, resident since 1972, retailer for 35 years. Let me go back to this lighting thing. When they put in, and this goes back to Baldridge, when they redid the downtown and wanted to make Washington take the traffic out of Washington and make it no traffic on Washington, just all walkable, everything. And they put in the new lights and they did the sidewalks and all that stuff. They knew then there was an electrical problem. And when they put in the new lights, they never did what they should have to increase the voltage or whatever it's called for the extra lights that were there because they didn't have the money. So they just kind of decorated it with the lights, but they didn't work very well. And the retired electrician lives in Royal Oak, and he lives next door to my in-laws' house, where my son lives now. And my husband used to talk to him all the time, and he knew what was going on, and it's too bad because we just don't have enough, I'm going to say voltage for a simple reason. I have to talk like an idiot because I don't know anything about electricity. You take a switch and you turn it on. Either that, the light bulb's burned out or something. So it's going to be a massive project, I really see, because I saw a lot of the problem on 6th Street, right, when my store was there, but I also saw it on Washington when the original store was there. So that's the problem. You got a big bill there for that one, guys. Anyhow, the other thing I want to talk about is this report that you got from this Marks Lane team. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I just want to make a couple of comments. One of it, he headed it, Challenges and Opportunities for the Royal Oak DDA. Well, all of you know I was in business downtown. To say existing business owners need to be educated, come on, guys. We need to be educated? We need to be do we? On how to direct customers to parking? I mean, I just, and you can say whatever you want to the customers. The customers are going to park where they want to park. That's it. You can lead a horse to water, but you know what you can't make them do. And prospective retailers need to know they can open a location and their customers will be able to park. That's fine. But the reason you can't open a business downtown, the number one reason is overhead. You've got to figure out how you can fit small businesses into a downtown at a reasonable price. You all know that Bill and I own 3 buildings downtown. They have 3 retailers in that building, and I think they're happy. Anyhow, they aren't leaving. We get checks every month, so they aren't going anywhere. So I think what you've got to do, he's worked with Somerset and all these other, guys, you gotta think small, because you've only got 9 square blocks of downtown. You know, you've gotta think about that. Remember, there are 2 sections to Royal Oak, downtown and the rest of us. I'm going back to my garden now, thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Anybody else? In the back there.
My name is Linda Tumala. I live at 3021 Helen Court, and I kind of beat out Laura because I've been a resident since 1960. I want to speak about the benches downtown. My husband and I used to come downtown at least once a week or every 2 weeks, walk around, visit Astoria, and sit down and have our ice cream cone or whatever, look in the windows, so forth. We've not done that now for at least the last 5 years. One is the lack of some of the shopping downtown to even enjoy looking in the windows. But the other problem is both the parking and the lack of benches. Our health has changed since 1960. And if we parked in the parking garage across from the post office and then walked to Astoria, it would be not real comfortable for us to turn around and walk back without sitting down for a few moments at least. So I would ask you to think again about the benches for downtown and to help people. The other issue is about the handicap parking downtown, which I know has been brought up at city commission meetings. I'm sure you are aware of what Birmingham's doing. They have one on each block. If you look up Birmingham and the parking, it will show you exactly where they are. And I'm asking you to think about doing that in the area in which you have jurisdiction over. It's a matter of when you have the parallel parking, that's one issue, but when you have the angle parking, like on Washington, certainly that could be of a help.
Excuse me, Ms. Tumla, I would direct you to look at the city commission agenda for Monday.
Oh, that, I would be happy to.
It's on there.
And they will be taking action on it?
I expect so.
All right, that's very good news.
There you go, that happened quick.
Well, it didn't actually happen quick, but the more important issue is that it's going to happen. That's the important issue.
Okay.
So I would hope you would look again into, if you look downtown on the sidewalks, there aren't a lot of seniors walking around, or maybe some with covered gray hair. Maybe it's not showing. But it would be helpful to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else out here tonight? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and move on to number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting, May 15th. I assume everybody's had time to look them over. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Moved by Director Riley,
I'll second.
second by Director Safaya. Any discussion, corrections? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4, expense items. These are informational. If you have any questions, now's the time to pose them.
One quick one.
Sure.
The Johnson sign, the vinyl panel replacement kiosk, I'm assuming that's from the wayfinding? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's replacing the event list
Okay.
for all, I don't know, 20 signs or whatever.
Okay, so that's updated?
Needs to be updated,
Check that. Awesome. Okay. Works for me.
Anybody else? We're all good on that? All right. On to number 5, recommendation, public relations firm. Mr. Riley.
Yeah, okay, the Business Marketing Committee, most of you know, we put out an RFP for a PR firm for the DDA in the downtown area. We were very happy with the response we got. We got several replies. We narrowed it down to 6 candidates. We interviewed every one of them, some of them twice. I have to say that all 6 of them were beyond very good. We were impressed with every one of them. It was a bit of a tough decision, but not really. Mark Slane came at us with not only a track record, both in civic public relations, but overall public relations, in media relations, in social media relations, and they rose to the top. And we are recommending that we take on a 6-month contract with them for a total value of $27,000, which is about $4,500 a month. I see 3 of them here today: Michael Lane, Leslie Pardo, Laura Minnie are here. There's, throughout the process, we met 5 of their people. Josh, who handles their social media, and also Glenn Oswald, who handles a lot of the, what I would call some of the, he's the vice president, handles some of the traditional media. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to them, let them have a few brief comments. Michael Lane.
If you don't mind, introduce yourself again, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Michael Lane. I'm president of Mark's Lane and Company. We're a local public relations agency. We've been in business for 32 years. And with me, I have Leslie Pardo and Lana Minnie, and we've all worked together for a number of years. We've got about 20 people, and thank you for this opportunity to present and to introduce ourselves to you today. We've enjoyed meeting Sean, Mike, Jay, Matt at previous meetings. Just real quickly, a little bit about ourselves. We've worked with clients in real estate development, very active in restaurant and representing retailers, the entertainment sector, special events, and crisis communications. Our agency is very strong in media relations, social media, special events, and crisis communications. We're excited about this opportunity. I've seen the DDA over the course of my lifetime, my long lifetime, go from, a Main Street to a highly desirable mixed-use destination. And I'm aware of the challenges that the DDA has as it's grown in density. And we look forward to being responsive to the DDA, to the property owners, to the retailers who, who might be facing challenges, and to help as you continue to grow and to communicate your messaging to various targeted audiences.
And one thing I want to add, and I'm sorry that Ms. Harrison left, but in terms of what was in their proposal and with regard to the parking and educating customers, it was not an affront to anybody. It's more about the new parking footprint that we have and the changes that have been made and making sure that everybody knows, where the lots are and everything like that, and the fact that there's an abundance of parking. It's just, it's not like it used to be where it's surface lots. As I always say, we don't have a parking crisis. For some people, it might be a convenience crisis, and I understand that. So, I'm sorry that it was taken as an affront to some people, but they meant nothing by it. I know that.
Matt, no, agreed. And, you do have challenges with parking and really educating consumers and residents about new parking patterns. And we hope to be able to work with retailers to provide some guidance on how they can work with their customers.
Sure, and as Mr. Wolf said earlier, we offered up the free parking, and some people, I guess, were confused, even though we've got it over the streets and we've got it on the decks, and in social media it was decks only. That's going to happen. I had a friend send me a text. She was a little bit miffed because she parked in a structure over by Imagine and had to pay $5 because it wasn't our lot. So it's just a new landscape, and they'll help people understand that. Again, it was not meant to be an affront to any consumers, nor retailers or restaurants.
Okay. Mr. Lean's up. Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
Did you go to Oak Park High School?
I did.
I know. I went to school with your sister.
Oh, which one?
Mindy.
I got a bunch of them. Mindy, oh, okay, I'll tell her, you say, yeah, I grew up, and I've watched, been a shopper, consumer here all my life, so I've seen, the changes. But I'll tell her, you say hi, she's doing great.
Okay, I guess we'll take it back up here then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, well, there is I believe there should be a.
Yeah.
There's a recommendation and resolution from the Business Marketing Committee.
I'll move the resolution.
So moved by Director Safaya,
Second.
second by Director Baglio. Any discussion or questions?
I think just to make it clear that, the DDA is going to work very closely with this group and kind of point out the areas that we feel need to be addressed. So all the input from the entire board here is going to be very helpful into communicating to them the areas that we would like them to focus on, because obviously public relations is such a big thing, but we want to kind of narrow the scope a little bit to be more specific to Royal Oak and our concerns and what we're doing here in the downtown area specifically. So I think that the committee is going to be very active in working very closely with their team.
All committees.
Yeah,
All committees.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think if any committee has information that we need to get out to the public or any other way, that this will be something that we all can take advantage of and work closely with their team on this, so.
Absolutely.
That being said.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing nothing else, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
All right, on to number 6, Vegans and Vodka update.
I can take that one. If the board may recall, at the last DDA meeting in May, the board approved a sponsorship for the Royal Oak Restaurant Association's event, which is titled Vegans and Vodka, in the amount of $20,000. Under the terms of this sponsorship agreement, the Restaurant Association was going to repay this $20,000 out of its revenue from the event. So you guys reviewed a spreadsheet that explained all of the expenses relating to the event. I understand since that time, a number of items on that expense sheet has changed. So in order to keep the board kind of, I guess in order to keep the Restaurant Association in good standing in terms of the terms of the sponsorship, we felt that it was important that spokesperson for the event, Johnny Prepelik from Mr. B's, come back and maybe just explain some of the changes and check back regarding the approval of that sponsorship. So, Chef Johnny, did you want to explain some of the changes that have been made in the expense sheet for the event?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Yes. So as we kind of work through the $20,000 payback piece, it became important for us to kind of have a understanding of priority to the payments. And so the largest changes really had to do with, one, that the restaurants are paying a fee to get in, to participate in the event. That's not refundable. But if they are selling product at the event, and we're going to sell the product at $5 for $5 tickets, they are going to get $4 for each ticket. Okay, so that had to be taken from the profit side and put into the cost side of the spreadsheet. So when you see the line item up here of $38,225.04, That's basically paying for the food that they're selling. Okay, so that was recategorized as an expense. The other thing that was recategorized is originally Charles Williams Group was going to be getting a portion of the profits. Now the only thing so their cost got moved from a portion of the profits to an expense. You'll see CWG production $9,500. Half of that should be paid by the sponsorship money, which they are raising. So those are the fundamental changes. I don't think might have been a few small tweaks to some other numbers, but that was the big difference. Other than that, and as a general update, we've submitted a preliminary special events permit to the police department. I've met with them. They've given me a laundry list of things they need back. They essentially need more detail on the layout, the stage, where the bathrooms go, where the trash containers go. I had to confirm with Tim that the door to the garage was going to still be closed at that period of time. All that information should be in the police department's hands by early next week. They have gotten this on the agenda for the July 8th City Commission meeting to be approved. And so the special events permit, the goal is to get the police to sign off on the special events permit on the next 2 weeks, which also then gives us what we need to go to the state to apply for the liquor license for the event, which you want to get up there 4 weeks prior to the event. The event date right now that we've agreed on with the police is the first week in August. And we've reached out to the membership of the Restaurant Association right now. We've got about 10 participants that are talking to us and are interested in participating. Our goal is to have at least 12. We're going to start with all Restaurant Association members, and then based on what we get there, we may move outside of the Restaurant Association to get those 12. I think that's about all I got for you.
Well, I'll just add that the significance of those changes help eliminate some ambiguity because I think there was some uncertainty as to whether the sponsorship needed to be repaid out of the initial $20,000 earned on the event or net revenue after they've paid the expenses that they need to pay. So whether they're paying it out of like their gross revenue or whether they're paying it out of their profits. So as you see attached, he submitted the new expense sheet, and then we've submitted a new resolution that better clarifies that arrangement to eliminate that ambiguity.
Yeah, just, Chef Johnny, a couple quick questions. Sure. Just want to make sure, so in the revenue, you've got 50,000 in the food package and about 4/5 of 38,000, that goes back to the restaurants, correct?
Yeah, and that number is based on the amount of food they sell.
Okay, all right, but that's a direct correlation to the food package there, correct? I mean, that's the revenue and
Yes.
the cost. The only other question I have is, on the estimated revenue, it's based on 5,000 event goers, and under single tickets, you've estimated that 6,000 single tickets would be sold. So is it based on 6,000 or 5,000? I'm just, in other words, the drink package and the food, obviously the single tickets are based on 6,000, and the drink package and food package, are those based on 5 or 6?
The single ticket, $5 tickets are based on 6,000 single tickets being sold to 2,500 walk-up event goers. Now, the tickets themselves.
Oh, I see, okay. I understand, there's single tickets versus event goers. My bad, now I got it.
No problem.
Yep, got it. Sorry about that. Good.
just some concerns about
Yeah.
timing for marketing. Is your promoter comfortable with the time frame?
They are. They're already working.
Okay.
They're already talking to sponsors. They're already putting marketing materials together for it.
Okay, so it's ready to
they're-
go when you hit the
They're
ground
in
running.
gear. They were quite happy that we got it pushed back to the first week in August.
Okay.
That bought us a few more weeks. So right now, people are pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
Have you talked to Sergeant Moore in the last day or two?
I talked to Sergeant Moore this morning.
Good.
Yeah, and he told me about, having to get on the July 8th agenda versus the 22nd of June. And he's kind of given me my laundry list of things I have to get to. So I've met with him on Friday, and I think I've had one or two conversations since then.
Because I know the police department was getting concerned about getting everything in so that they could get the special event permit issued. And
Last year when I did it, I think that the state itself has a minimum requirement of 3 weeks. Sean, you've done this before. Wasn't it 3 weeks?
Well, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I do know if you need it fast, you have to go there in person. And
Yeah.
you can get it issued swiftly, but you would just have to drive to Lansing.
But it gives us, I think, right now, we'd have about another 3 weeks to get the thing issued, or the permit, the request for the license to the state.
Okay.
But you're right, that's something we have to keep our eye on for sure.
Anybody else with anything? Okay, we'll take it back here then, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so there is a motion, and basically, what this is doing is just making it clear that any money we get back from the event will come out of net revenues as opposed to gross revenues. That's pretty much the change. Dr. Spivey?
So, as usual, the special event permit will go before the city commission.
Yes. Yes, this is the first time for this event. We will take it to the city commission.
Right, okay, so they'll
The police
They'll also be vetting it at that level and so forth.
chief actually has authority to issue special event permits, but we, as a matter of policy, first-time events we take to the commission.
Gotcha.
If they do it again next year, he'll issue it administratively.
Gotcha, okay.
All right.
I'm comfortable with the way the resolution is written now. So I'll move the resolution.
Got a motion by Director Safaya.
Support.
Support by Director Riley. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you for, I know you got a business to run, all the time you've been spending on this, so. All right, thank you. All right. On to number 7, DDA Capital Improvements Program.
I'll walk through this item. I'm not looking for any particular action today other than referring several things to the Infrastructure Committee. But I did, since there were a lot of requests for various things to occur in the downtown, I wanted to bring the board back up to those things that you've already got in the queue, and then those items in additional detail that have been prepared either by engineering or other members of staff. If you look at the memo itself, in your fiscal year 1920 Development Fund budget, you have budgeted 1.2 million roughly for traffic signal replacement with mast arms. 3 of those, actually you'll see 5 that are done, but you're funding portions of 3 of those. One at 11 Mile in Troy, one at Main and 11 Mile, one at Washington and 11 Mile, and one at 11 Mile in Center. There will also be one at the entrance to the parking deck off of Williams that's planned to go in at the end of July. An additional 3 will be designed and planned for sometime in 2020
it's in your current fiscal year budget because they may be designed and put in the spring. And those will all go along Main Street. Those were all presented previously. You've also budgeted in the fiscal year 1920 $1 million for decorative streetlight upgrades. That plan has not been vented farther than meeting with some potential vendors about what that could include. Obviously, that'll also include any upgrades to the wiring and things like that as we go through it. The alley improvement program is budgeted at $300,000, although nothing specific has been identified. The concept plan that you had Fleiss and Vanderbrick do went from 3rd Street down to 6th Street. And that concept plan was blessed and approved by the DDA, but nothing's been engineered to this point. The next item that's budgeted is $300,000 for a build-out of the commercial space in the 2nd Street deck. The architect is on board, the contract's been signed, and we're proceeding. They've been in the space, and as soon as we have some conceptual design, the infrastructure committee, the DDA, and the city commission will see those. The AMC signs, electronic message center signs, is two of those you may recall were very tall electronic message center sign. What we're trying to find is appropriate locations for those. James from the city manager's office has been meeting with the vendor to try and get the panel pixel items correct so that when we spec it and bid it, that can go forth. Really, the issue is finding an appropriate location for both of those.
What was the budget on that one?
That's $200,000.
Okay.
The next item that's actually budgeted is replacement of the brick pavers in the CBD. We did a placeholder at about $150,000, but as a separate item in your packet, you'll see the two types of estimates that were provided by engineering. I'll touch on that in a minute, but that was $150,000. And then there was a placeholder budget for improvements to the north side of the library at $50,000. There's been several improvements done on the north side already as part of the connectivity project for the Civic Center. The new streetscapes in, the walkway to the north entrance is in. They're waiting on a handrail, will be one of the last items to be put in there, and then it's been sodded and some minor adjustments to the landscaping. Also, Main Street, Oakland County did a very rough landscape concept plan for free as part of their upgrade, but that really hasn't been flushed out in any great detail. So you'll see from a capital improvement standpoint, you've got budgeted in fiscal year 1920 a little over $3.2 million to address some issues in the downtown. Since that, you've also got attached paver and maintenance or replacement estimates. Maintenance of the old concrete brick pavers that are in the older areas of town, engineering estimated it at about $383,000. If you were to simply have those all removed and replaced with the stamped colored concrete that we've been using for the last several years for all the streetscapes, they're estimating that at slightly over $1 million. There's also a report that was just generated and provided that I've included in your packet regarding pavement conditions within the DDA boundary, and that's road pavement conditions. And just for clarity, you're a potential funding source. You don't have jurisdictions over the road. This isn't ultimately your decision to fix roads or not pave roads. It's whether you want to participate in funding portion of them, but you have no jurisdictional responsibility for road pavements.
And Tim, just to clarify with the road That would be restricted to within the development area, correct?
Yeah, and the report is limited to that. And then there are some major roads in there that aren't. I mean, it's paid for out of the major road fund. And the last capital improvement map or information document that I also attached was the Streetscape Map updated to basically about where we're at today in terms of what's been done, what's planned to be done. The blue outline, obviously, from the legend is where streetscapes exist. They could be newer, they could be older, they could have concrete pavers, but the pattern, the decorative lights, those sorts of things are all in those locations. The red identifies where it's planned, either as part of private development that's required to do it, or this DDA or city is doing it as part of the Civic Center project. And then the yellow outline where it was labeled as potential was based on a prior DDA board action identifying those street segments as those that you may want to do in the future. Those that have no indication or color coding were determined at that time that you were not going to do streetscapes on those blocks. And then priority one was on there, was just simply was which ones we were planning on going forward. You'll see there are none of those on there at this point, given that the planned ones were prior priorities or have been done. Like 4th Street was done. Some of the other ones were listed previously as priorities.
And Tim, can you tell us on that map, or Don for that matter, as far as the plan, in this area, is that being covered under our contribution?
It's being covered under the connectivity contract, which is included in the 10 million whatever that you're covering. So there's 700,000 a year.
And that would include over by the City Hall police station too, by the market?
Yeah, except you'll see on the next item on the agenda a portion that's not part of connectivity.
Okay.
It's basically that segment between along 3rd Street, between Main and the alley on the north side. And then there's a little segment right at Williams, but you'll see it on the next agenda item. That is not currently part of the connectivity. It's part of the Henry Ford building in terms of when it'll get done. But it's a city DDA responsibility.
Okay.
So those are informational items. I just wanted to bring it to the whole board. My thought was you'd refer all of these to the infrastructure committee to bring them back to you with a recommendation on how you want to proceed with some of the other items that aren't particularly planned, but people are asking for, or and what your role you may or may not want to have in any of those. So I just wanted to bring that to the whole board, knew where it's at.
Okay, so this will be going to infrastructure.
As long as you want it. If you don't want to participate in something, or you, as a board, don't want to do something, and you don't want them to look at it, that's fine too.
Yeah, just a couple things. We've heard some things today, and particularly with 4th Street lighting. It's not the first that we've heard of it, and and I'm not sure how this should work or but what I don't want to have happen is that we're sitting back on 4th Street waiting for the decorative street light upgrades. And again, I don't know what that entails to fix that, but that's such a major thoroughfare. It seems like something, I'll go into. We spent a lot of money and a lot of effort into, making things better in the downtown via parking structures, et cetera, bringing big events here. And the fact that one of our major thoroughfares, the majority of the lights are out at night is to me ridiculous. So I think that's something that we need to address right away. Some of the pavement issues that we heard today, I have no reason to doubt that they're as deep as they are, some of these potholes. What I don't want to do is that we have to wait until we're doing like pavement reconstruction to handle these areas, and whether that falls on us or not, or whatever. But some of the stuff, if Seventh Street has got potholes that could swallow a dog, that's something I think we should look at right away. Sean brought up to me that the pavers, and I apologize that I haven't seen it, between Fifth and Sixth on Main Street on the west side of the street are in horrific condition. And and again, it always seems like in the past that, well, it's like an all or nothing thing. Either we're bringing everybody in, and again, I don't know how that works, but I guess I would implore the infrastructure committee to look at every one of these things immediately, as well as take everything else into consideration. Does that make sense? But particularly the 4th Street lighting. I mean, that's, again, and you guys are sick of hearing me talk about the 5th Street Railroad crossing, but that falls in the same thing. I mean, to me, that's an embarrassment on all of us.
Do we need any action to move this to the committee? Okay.
Just to reiterate what Director Riley said here, I agree with him, and I think it's going to be incumbent upon infrastructure to, there's a lot of items here. I mean, I took a lot of notes tonight from public comment, and we're talking about a lot of items, and then Tim's presentation brought a lot of items on the table here. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon us to take a look at these and prioritize them, see which ones we can and are willing to participate in, which ones we're not, which ones we can push down the road a piece for budget purposes, but which other ones on the other extreme, which other ones have to get done right away. So, we'll just, I think the best way is for the committee to vet this out, have all the information in front of it, and come back with some sort of recommendation.
And I know nobody wants to deal with things in pockets, but in this case, it sounds like we have to look at pockets. When I say pockets, I mean, instead of redoing all the lights, we just got to make sure the 4th is right. And if over in 6th and 7th, if there's, again, I apologize, I haven't seen it, but believe me, I'll take a ride there tomorrow. That's something that just,
Well, frankly, I wouldn't anticipate the DDA would do all of this, all of them, all one time.
Sure.
I think you are going to do pockets.
Okay.
You're going to prioritize which segments of roads you want to address first. Number one, I don't think you can design it, have it all built at one time. It'd be too disruptive to downtown to do everything all at once.
Right.
So you are going to do it in pockets. It's just a matter of where and what segments you prioritize to do first and what items you provide to do first. If you're going to fix the lights on 4th Street, and you may want to fix the pavers on 4th Street at the same time because you're going to tear it up. So,
got it.
Good point.
Just out of curiosity, is there, and I know there were some emails that went back and forth, but can somebody update me, is there anything in process with regard to the lights on 4th Street, or is it just diagnostics?
No, it's trying to figure out what it is so they can design a fix to it. There's that infrastructure, if it was put in when I think it was in, it's been in 30 years.
Okay. So,
I guess, I would guess that would be a definite priority, at least as far as, I think that would probably be the
We
first.
can get a timeline to getting it done. So.
Yeah, the first check we'd write would be for that.
I would say that's paramount. Absolutely.
All right, so that's headed back to committee. All right, anybody else with anything on item number 7? Item number 8, draft cost sharing agreement, 2nd Street and 3rd Street.
This was an item that we talked briefly about, I think, during the budget process and some others. You may recall that as part of the capital improvements, the streetscape on the north side of 3rd Street, a portion of it is being done by the Henry Ford Central Park Development Group that's adjacent to their property, as well as the alley. In order to make sure that fits in with the other segments, they're also have designed the segment between the alley to Main Street and a little portion at the crosswalk. but they're not required to pay for it. And I think we talked about that potentially was a DDA item, not necessarily in fiscal year 1920. It could be in a future year. But what this document is intended to get to is identifying those costs and then breaking it out in the sense of who's paying for what. The second item in there is 2nd Street. The DDA may recall that the area of 2nd Street between the parking deck and the Henry Ford building currently is tore up as a construction staging area. The intent was to, from the DDA's direction, was to improve it with the same gray stamped concrete that you see north of 2nd and south of 2nd, with the idea that the DDA would pay the difference between regular concrete and the stamped concrete price work. Those numbers are also being put together for review. I wanted to give you the draft agreement to see, make sure it was in the direction that the board, number one, recalled before we bring it back and dump it on you with looking for an approval. So those are the two concepts that are in there, and you'll see the responsibility map kind of layout, and then a more detailed design drawing.
And we didn't talk about any ballpark costs on this yet, have we?
I wouldn't want to throw numbers out, but we'll wait and see. But we've got pretty good streetscape numbers from other projects, including what we just did on the south side of 11 Mile. So if unit prices are out of whack with that, I think we would challenge it before we would bring it to you with a recommendation. But we just did south side of 11 Mile from the alley to Troy Street. And what's being put together is a spreadsheet based on unit price, so.
Isn't this, for the board's sake, isn't this similar to what we did on Center with the post office? Where they had the option of just putting regular.
Yeah, you did a similar thing with Atkin on the west side.
Right, that's what I meant. With Atkin, they were only required to put in regular basic concrete, and we decided we wanted the upgrade to match everything else.
Right. For a portion of this.
For a portion of this, that's what we're talking about.
Right, that's really the 2nd Street portion.
Gotcha.
The streetscape, actually, though, from the alley to Main Street is all yours. It's not required as part of their project. It's outside their project. You also did it on 4th Street, I believe, at 424, where you had a shared number.
Did we?
So the concept is similar, the elements are different.
So are we talking about going from the alley out to Main Street?
The streetscape, yes,
Yeah,
on the north side.
Yeah. On the north side? Okay. Okay.
So anyways, it's just a draft. I just wanted to, again, make sure you were comfortable. The only thing I'm waiting on is the estimates, so.
At that point, once you get the estimates, it's filled in, then we'll bring it back.
I'm going to be bringing it back, looking for an action.
Okay.
This has been reviewed by the city attorney. It's been sent to Clark Construction and the Central Park Development Group for their review. And actually, Clark Construction is doing the initial estimates, cost bidding, because it's their part of their construction job. That's all I had on it.
Yeah. Anybody, any other questions, comments? Okay, and we'll close that up and move on to number 9, committee updates. Consumer Marketing Committee did not meet, so there's nothing to talk about at this point. Director Safaya your committee,
We did not meet this month either.
which you will be
We
soon.
will be very soon.
Have a huge
For some-
Have fun with that
Sorry,
one.
I'm not on that committee
Yeah.
anymore. And the Business Marketing Committee, I guess we dealt with a little bit of what we've.
Yeah.
talked about.
You know, obviously, we had the interviews, and then we had discussion and reviewed, after every interview, we sat down and reviewed different aspects. We had certain things we were looking for. And in those discussions, obviously, parking came up as a big issue with not only that was addressed by the different PR firms, but we got to talking amongst ourselves. And I guess for lack of a better way to do this, there's some things that I just want to bring up that I think need to be referred to the Infrastructure Committee, I would guess. And there's just been, what we don't want to do is, we're doing so much, as this whole board is doing so much to improve our position and our outlook and the way people feel about parking, letting people know there's parking available, spending money to give free parking to celebrate the opening of the deck, sort of take away some of the sting of some of the negative stuff that's been out there about us, getting people to come in and try it to see that it's not as bad as some people have said it is, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, while we were going through this, we found out that sometimes we're our own worst enemy. And the issues that came up repeatedly from the table and from others. There's still old coin meters out there that we feel just must be replaced. So we'd like you guys to take a look at that, the Sherman Street lot in particular. We have an issue with ticketing people with the parking app, with Park Mobile, after they paid. And we checked with other cities, we checked with Birmingham in particular. We're off the charts compared to them. To date, this year, they've told us that they have issued 10 or less tickets that have been wrongly issued. We've done some digging, calls have been made to find out what's going on, what can it be. We're hearing things about our signal strength. I'm technologically bankrupt, so I don't know if that's Wi-Fi, I don't know if that's Verizon, whatever. But we need to get to the bottom of it to find out why the handheld readers are not working in some instances in some areas, and we need to fix it. Okay, if it means that we've got the DDA's got to spend some dollars to put up different antennae, I don't know what the situation is, but we need to find out why that's happening.
It's not the handheld readers, it's the meters.
Whatever it is.
Whatever,
The signal between
yeah,
them.
whatever it is. There's not one of us sitting at the table here that hasn't heard on multiple occasions of friends, customers, whatever, or themselves who've been ticketed when they've had money in the app. Does that sound right? I mean, I know.
It happens.
Okay. It happens.
We research a lot of those. I'll tell you, most of them is because they entered the wrong license plate number.
Oh, well,
I have a question.
I don't know.
You know, people are always using the meters outside my store, and none of them can read the credit card thing. They want coins. They come to my store for coin all the time because they can't read, they're not tall enough to read the digital printout for the credit card. So I have more criticism from customers off the street.
On the
In
height?
your area, they've already been lowered
Okay?
on Washington.
Well, then I would add that.
I don't think
I would
so.
add that as well, because that's.
Greg just gave me the other day, I think he listed all of Washington.
But
that's-
we will add that to.
Let's add that to the list as well. Lowering
It
meters.
was absolutely a problem to begin with, and there's still areas where they haven't. But the real issue is with the IPS meters, that screen is on an angle.
Right.
And when we had the old meters that were flat, it wasn't an issue. Of course, the old meters didn't really have a screen,
Right.
but with that angled screen, you have to be above it to read it.
And depends on the glare.
Yep, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you have to get right on top of them.
I'd say we have 20 to 30 people walk in my store for coin, not to use my store, just to use it for coin.
Yep, that's something to definitely look at.
Driving traffic to your store.
Yes, it's driving
The
traffic to my store.
The Center Street Garage,
They stay-
the new Center Street Garage, we need to add a countdown sign on the Washington Street side. I mean, it's just silly not to. You got that big, beautiful garage. We need to look into that and get that on order and bring that up. And last, certainly not least, it's great that the new deck's got a good abundance of handicap parking on the first level. That being said, since a lot of the farmers market people are now going to be using that garage, we think and would like to recommend that we not sure where, but in the farmers market, add 3 to 4 more handicap spots in the market lot itself.
Now, we've talked about it, we know it's a little problematic, because coming by there today, there's an event going on. So adding spots in that lot would be a problem. But I also know adding spots on the east side creates a little bit of an issue, because you'd have to walk all the way to the south end of the market to be able to, in a wheelchair, to be able to access, because there's no ramp.
Well, yeah, and it also varies depending on the event as to which door is the entrance.
Sure, sure.
But I guess, I mean,
It's just something to be looked at.
And I don't know what you have on the agenda this coming Monday, but, I mean, if there's a way to.
It's a trade-off, though, and especially when we were short on parking. We're not really short on parking anymore, as long as we got.
So many spots.
No, handicap spots means that you're eliminating 2 regular spots.
Correct.
And for all the complaints I'm hearing about handicap spots, most of our handicap spots are empty, all the time. There are handicap spots in the new structures that have never been occupied.
And I think, I get that, but I think the market's a little bit of a different situation, because the people are coming out with packages, and and it's a little bit of a.
It's something to look at.
It's something to look at.
Yep.
You know, we're, you know,
It's actually not that much of a hike. It's actually closer to the parking structure than it was to the far side of the.
I know that,
the
but
original
if you were to
parking lot.
put up.
But for a handicap spot, though, a handicap spot in the structure is far further than it is. And I agree totally with you. And what you said is exactly the reason why we maybe should look at adding handicap spots, because the normal parkers, it's convenient, it's easy for them to park in the, for regular parking spots.
They also say that the new structure's got 19 handicap spots inside it. It's also got 4 handicap spots that are off of the row next to it.
Oh, that's right.
Which are actually our first on-street handicap spots. They're pull-in. And we've got a report, as I said earlier, if you go to the agenda for the city commission, to be doing some on-street handicap spots in the angle parking areas.
And keep in mind, just adding spots doesn't make them accessible.
No, I understand that,
And so where they're added is important as well.
Correct, correct.
And at some point, they become not accessible because they're too far away.
Totally understand.
Well, too far away.
All we're asking is to look at it.
So and at the end of the day, once all the construction's done, there will be, and I'm not gonna quote numbers today, but there will be others in the lot to the east of the market as well as to the south of the market.
It was just an idea that if it can be looked at and can be done
Even if it's
easily.
just during the construction
Yeah.
phase, you know, maybe on the southeast side of the market, and that's east lot. Those spots there, because that offers access without steps, you know, it's further. And as far as the street parking goes, I mean, we're all in favor of looking at that, but
There's some existing spots there that need to be restriped.
Right.
Well, and to say that, the DDA did look at the spots on street, and your recommendation was simply to do the angled ones.
And the end on the
that's-
angles.
That is part of what's on Monday's agenda.
And part of that was based on recommendations from council as well. Sure.
But I will go on record as saying that I've used the angle parkings. My wife had hip surgery, hip replacement. I used the angle handicap parking in Birmingham. There's nothing ADA compliant about that spot.
Parallel ones.
No, there's.
Birmingham's both.
They have
It
both.
was an angle spot.
But most of theirs are
They
parallel.
have
Angle
both,
spot,
they
but
have
there was-
both, and none of them are
Right.
handicap compliant.
All it is it's just a reserved spot for a handicap person. It doesn't, if it was a wheelchair or something,
And
it's
I
a useless
understand
spot.
Birmingham's actually getting possibly in some legal trouble over that, because you really aren't supposed to be using that sign that if it isn't an accessible space.
And again, just going back to the farmer's market, at least there, we're not dealing with the curb cuts, we're not dealing with all that, and you know, if they're, and the vial spots, it's something we can look at.
We're all for the streets, as long as it's done right.
Correct. And outside of that, that was all we had.
I don't think we need to do anything other than that's just
Just be topics, so
on the record. You know,
most
so-
of them are.
Yeah.
And, for
Yeah.
for this.
I
Sure,
made,
this guy's is Mike's
I
fine.
made him a list.
All right. Okay, anything else from the business marketing?
No, sir.
Okay. Number 10, other business and reports, A. Sean.
Okay, very quickly, I just want to announce the workshop for destination downtowns that Main Street Oakland County is helping to pay for regarding the speaker John Schaller has been scheduled at the Hyatt Place Hotel. That's going to be Wednesday, July 24th. I know many of you are registered for it already, so my goal here in the next few weeks is to spread the word far and wide. It's limited to 80 persons. I have, I think, a little over 30 right now registered. I want to continue getting as many Royal Oak businesses as possible. When I get closer to the event, if I see that we're not going to capacity, I may reach out to some neighboring communities to see if we can just fill the rest of the tables and chairs, because I know there's a lot of interest, especially in this area, from neighboring communities to attend this. So I think we're going to have very good attendance. So it's something that we're definitely looking forward to. Most of my month so far is I've been working with the Business Marketing Committee regarding the Public Relations Services contract. So I think we had a total of 4 meetings, meeting with prospective firms. Free parking promotion, I think that's going very well right now. I think we're getting a lot of good press. In fact, somebody even left a message on my office door. They had wrote something really positive about it, about how much they like it and how much positive news that it's bringing to downtown. So I've really seen a turnaround in our social media, the comments that are being left, the phone calls I'm receiving, the emails I'm receiving. I think it's overwhelmingly positive. Now, I think going into this, I think all of us knew that there may be some people who might not read the whole thing and think that there's free parking everywhere. I think there's just going to be an unavoidable percentage of people who are going to fall victim to that. And that was my number one fear. I'm actually really pleased that it's not as big as I was afraid it might be. So I've only heard of 2 or possibly 3 incidents where somebody thought that it was free parking on the street. So I think it's being communicated really thoroughly. We have the banners over Main Street. It says all structures. Every piece of the marketing regarding the free parking promotion, it's very specific in saying that it's in all structures in the month of June. We know it's kind of wordy when you look at it. It's kind of hard to fit on a billboard sometimes, but we wanted to be very specific about that to try to avoid that confusion. I think for the most part it's been very successful. Pedicab promotions, equally, I can't say enough positive things about it. I have businesses reaching out to me wanting to pay to advertise to keep them here longer than June. So I spoke to Josh, who was before the board last month. He wants to keep this service in downtown as well. He says it's working out for him. He says there's a lot of interest from businesses. So, if there's support from the DDA, and if you guys think it's worthy of my time, I can continue to work with them to try to compile a list of businesses who would be willing to advertise so that they can transition seamlessly into July and have a revenue stream. I think it's
fun.
I think people really like it.
It just looks
I think it needs to be here longer to have the word of it permeate more through the
Taking
community.
pictures and. Like
So,
This weekend should just be incredible. I mean, with the crowds and everything, just for all of this, the parking and the cabs, it should be a huge boost.
just lastly, last month, Live Music Thursdays budget was produced. I just got something today from the graphic designer that we had designed some branding and some logos for it. I've also recruited about 10 venues who have activities on Thursday nights. So we have, I think, all of the information. I'm still waiting on one or two businesses to get back to me on their details, but I think that'll begin very soon. So I think we'll probably see that in the next 2 weeks. We'll see that go live, promoting all the live music that's going on. We do get that Channel 4 spot every month because we're advertising with them, so we can go on Live in the D and promote something. So for July, we're going to be promoting live music Thursdays. It'll be July 15th. We're also promoting the summer concerts because it's also live music on Thursdays. So one of the bands performing there has volunteered to go on Channel 4, and we're going to try to drum up some media attention for coming to Royal Oak on Thursdays for live music. So that's what I have for this month.
Going back to the pedicabs, the employees on those pedicabs are so enthusiastic. They're just laughing and talking to each other, because I was out there Saturday watching them. It was like a good time.
I said the same thing. I watched them out my window because it was a gray day. It wasn't man. They were humping, and they were just they're really presentable.
They're very presentable.
They're on top of things too, and I think they're really great ambassadors for downtown. They even asked me for a list of talking points in case they were asked questions, so that they could answer questions while they were taking people from point A to point B of where they could park, where the best places to park. And we gave them the Metro Times list of the best of Detroit. So if somebody asked where's a good place to get dinner, or where's the best night out or something like that. So they have all that information that they can reference when they talk to customers. So
We've also been capturing some data through that, at least to get the zip codes of where the riders are coming from.
That's true.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. This weekend should be interesting with the Rock and Rides thing, because you're going to get people, who usually don't come to downtown, and they're going to get free parking and free pedicab rides. And I think that's as good as you can get PR-wise.
Okay. Well, to ask the question, do you know how many people are interested in what they're willing to pay to advertise?
He needs to send me some numbers still. So I talked to Josh yesterday.
My other question to the board then will be is, do you want to match it? Because you're not going to have another meeting between now and July. Do you just want to match it to continue it for another month? What do you want to do? Because I don't want to get emails that say, oh, what can we do?
No, Tim, that's a great point, because you don't want to stop and start it. You don't want to stop and start it.
If you want to continue it, this is your last shot.
Yes.
before
Yeah,
July.
that might be a good opportunity to kind of
Make a
grow them here.
motion to continue it.
I knew that.
Support.
Motion by Director. Motion from you two.
Well, my thought was it was a matching thing to whatever, but are you just willing to foot the boat? Which you want to go?
Well, we're talking
I
about.
want to make sure I'm putting the right.
We've already got it through the end of the month, correct?
Yes.
So we're talking about an additional,
30 days. 30 days.
oh, just all throughout July.
How much was it for this one?
12,
12, 14.
well, I mean, we could also.
I like the matching idea because I'd like to phase this in so that this actually.
that was my thought.
Follows the business model that they're using in
Let them
East
work their
Lansing,
way.
where it's totally advertiser supported.
Yeah, we want to get to that, yeah.
If we can help them get there, that's great, but I don't really like the idea of us just agreeing to continue.
I would agree. Is that feasible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, actually, we did talk about creating some kind of arrangement where he
I need to
could go
know
before the
how
committee,
much I'm committing
discuss
to. If it's
growing this here.
thousands of dollars, it would be a little bit of a different thing.
Makes a good point.
I think what Director Johnson's talking about is like filling the gap or matching at least. Whatever ads they sell, we'll match dollar for dollar the ads they sell. I know what you're saying. What does that mean?
What's our bottom line?
But
You're talking about down the road, right?
No, we're
Well,
talking
no,
about.
no, no. If we're gonna
for July.
continue the gap, I mean, I'll be happy to sign up to pay to advertise next month to
What's our
help,
monthly total for
Can you push them, Sean, to get some kind of structure?
But we have to decide something now.
Well, we're just saying we're gonna match whatever advertising dollars that they bring forth to the table, we'll match that to continue the service.
Okay.
I heard,
It is a minimum to stay.
So,
Yeah.
I'm actually hearing gap, so if they bring in 3,000 or 4,000.
Okay, the gap, yeah, we'll
You're
fill the
gonna
gap.
cover the rest.
Cover
to
the
keep
balance
them
to keep
for
them
the
around.
month,
That's because that ensures
That it continues.
that it continues.
so I'm still waiting for him to share with me the
Gary wants to
rates he
know
was
as
using in East
he
Lansing.
wants to know as an individual advertiser what
Right, and I spoke to Josh yesterday, and I'm waiting for him to send me the rates he uses for East Lansing, because it's
Okay.
completely advertising funded in East
Okay.
Lansing.
So as I understand it, what we would vote on right now is that we want the service continued through July, and they will immediately commence to sell advertising, and we will cover the gap for the month
Okay.
of whatever they come up short.
Is that how you,
That's how I make my motion.
and is that how you second it?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, and you need to get back to us right away, if you can, say that, yep, they're in, and that way, there's no reason they shouldn't be.
I'll call him as soon as this
Yeah,
meeting's
yep,
over.
yep.
So,
And then,
And then have someone design something, because with our sponsorship, we'll have something on those screens.
yeah, we can have some.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now, how do we get, confirmation of the ads they sell? That's just something we gotta have to.
Well, we'll just
I've
say as a
seen-
condition of this, Tim, would you recommend that we have an agreement drafted?
I believe it's in part of the agreement with the city. My thought was this, you just continue it and we're funding it.
Okay,
Okay.
But we'll work with Judy on just getting it continued through the city's actually in the agreement with them. You're just providing funding.
got it. But again, we need confirmation of ads that they've sold. Right. Okay, got it.
Are we gonna, I would hope that the DDA would take advantage of advertising some of our events with that.
I would hope that would be part of our sponsorship
Yeah.
in this situation, yeah.
'Cause
And does this need a city commission action then to go?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just.
Vegan and vodka could be our first one.
Yeah.
What they
All right,
say.
so we got-
If you haven't had an opportunity to take a ride, I suggest you do it.
All right.
It's fun.
Very good.
Anybody else with anything on this, or questions, or, we all understand how this is working? right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay,
When
all
you
right.
vote,
Seeing nothing else, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Yeah.
Royal Oak and Breweries.
We gotta keep it.
That's just info.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, though. If you read it, it's really cool.
Does that include the beer that Matt makes in his bathtub?
I'll also add, there's something that came out, I noticed today, Royal Oak made #3 best city to start a brewery too. So, that's more of a business attraction kind of promotion, but,
Oh, they are electric.
that was also in a periodical today.
Nice.
Okay, and then the last is just an activity report, I believe. Franco. That's about it. Does anybody have anything else? Seeing none.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Director Krieger. Support by Director Riley. All those in favor? Good night.